Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez. I'm at Upstart Crow in San Diego's Seaport Village, and I'm actually going to do a little video here, mostly because of this is where I'm going to be doing my book signing. And all I'm going to really mention here is how I did the trip from here to San Diego to Oakland. I stopped every couple minutes. I went to Santa Barbara and got a chance to train in capoeira. I trained with a really great karateka in San Luis Obispo. Another great karateka participated in a black belt promotion in Walnut Creek. And so I just wanted to do something here. When I get home, I'll talk more about it. Hope to see some of you here, and I'll tell you about my trip. Thank you again. And today I am going to talk a little bit about a capoeira. What happened was when I did my trip from San Diego, LA, Santa Barbara, I got a chance to train with some people. The place was called the Brazilian Arts Cafe. Here's the flyer if you want to see it. And they actually showed me a little bit of capoeira. Like I said, it's only an hour and 15-minute class, so it's not enough to be anything but an absolute beginner. But it was an art that I was really impressed with. And there were a lot of things that impressed me. First, it has to do with what me and Tim, who's starting up the Mal magazine, which is going to be a martial art lifestyle magazine. Me, him, and a couple other people have actually been talking about how there is a martial art lifestyle, but it's really hard to put your finger on what it is. And one of the nice things is traveling. Now, as a martial artist, I will go to different areas, and I will look for different martial arts to try to train in. Sometimes people won't necessarily call me back, but if they don't, I'll find something else. Now, my experience is as soon as you start loving martial arts, you may have one style that you really love. It becomes your style. But you start loving every art. And you go in and you see judo and you think, oh my God, this is beautiful, and I can see how it relates to my art. And then capoeira, I saw a lot of similarities. One of which is how it has its own history. It actually sits in Brazilian history, yet nobody talks about it. If you are doing Okinawan martial art, a lot of people think, oh, all the history of Okinawan karate. But you go to Okinawa, and a lot of people don't really. You meet some people who don't even realize that Okinawan karate is from Okinawa, that live there. And in capoeira, you actually saw this little thing, and I really feel sorry, Master Chin. I apologize to you specifically because I really loved how you told the history, how you talked about capoeira and how it changed over the years, and I really loved what you told me about how it became popular. What he said is there was a war between Brazil, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but there was a war. The slaves in Brazil were told that if they went and fought, when they came back, they'd get their freedom. And what ended up happening is when they went to fight, most people figured they'd be massacred and they wouldn't have to worry about anything. What ended up happening is they won, and so they came back as heroes. And so capoeira, from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. It ended up spreading, and it did become a fighting. It was a fighting art. But when it became a fighting art, it became too hard. And so a lot of people pulled away from it. You can actually think of this with a lot of martial arts that, yes, they do become hard. People pull away from it because we don't live in a society where we need to necessarily go out thinking we're going to just destroy something with one hit. So he ended up telling me, and again, if I get this wrong, I apologize to him specifically. It ended up modifying and became more of a technique and dance driven art. And so you still see all the techniques. And what I saw was just some beautiful body dynamics. There was a little boy who was teaching who was amazing. His nickname was Ninja, really aptly because this guy could move like you wouldn't believe. And what you saw how they would use their core to develop the power for their kicks. And it was such an impressive thing to me that I'm actually now teaching what they taught me in the Jenga
to my students. So I hope you don't mind if you do capoeira and you're watching this. I hope you don't mind that I stole a little bit of your art to teach to my students. It really is a beautiful art. The body dynamics and the amount of power they can develop is something that is impressive. So that was my other trip. The other things I did is I did end up training with another gentleman in San Luis Obispo, who I'm hoping eventually opens up a school there again. I ended up going to Walnut Creek and trained with a Sharon Rue up there, which I got to, actually I didn't get to train with them, I'm sorry. I ended up being part of a black belt test for a Sharon Rue system, which was similar to mine in Walnut Creek, and it was just amazing to meet great martial artists of various styles everywhere. Next week I am going to start going back to my original talk about anatomy and how things work, and I'm also hoping to get more of these more interviews of people who can talk about their art and how it's different from what other people do. A lot of times we end up finding, like I said, when you start seeing not just the differences, when you start looking at an art, you start seeing similarities between your art and arts that you may not necessarily even consider similar. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll be back to my typical anatomy next week. Also, if you can, please make the signing. Goodbye.